And we are back. Welcome to Bout That Life Podcast. If you are new here, welcome. Appreciate you checking it out. Please feel free if you got a little bit of time, do the HBO special, help a brother out. Hit that like and subscribe button down in the column. I know you all see it. Either way, stay for a good show. I have a really good guest for you guys. Someone who's playing the game, who's actively working his butt off in this game. You guys understand the premise of the show. I just want to keep giving you guys information, give you guys stories, let you guys hear from these young men and women who are out here living this dream, and hopefully it can help you in your basketball journey, your AAU path. So check that intro out. Come back in. We'll see you soon.
From the YBA Phenix Fitness 24/7 basketball facility in Rocklin, California, it's Bout That Life Podcast with your host, Coach C.Collins and Coach MJ.
Hey, how you doing? It's Coach C.Collins. Welcome to About That Life Podcast, where we talk a little bit of basketball, a little bit of life, and everything in between. But the biggest thing we try to do is stay away from politics. But no, if you are listening on the audio side, thank you again. Very appreciated. I have recently looked at the analytics, and we have hit 75,000 listens. So thank you again. Much appreciated. Many thanks. I don't do this show to get rich. I don't do this show to get famous, but I do this show for the people out there that are working at the grassroots level to help their young athlete, son or daughter, achieve success. Hopefully, people been coming to me. They've been saying, "Hey, man, like I go to AU tournaments." They're like, "Bro, I listen to your show, man. I see you on IG. I love what you're doing." Again, it's much appreciated. If you want to follow along and get the notifications, hit that notification bell, hit follow on the audio side. Every time I drop a new episode or a Coach's Rise Time, you'll get that hit. And you'll know what's going on. I got a really good guest for you guys. Just a quick promotion for the sponsors, and then we'll get right to it. So first off, best shooting machine on the market, Dr. Dish. I use them. They're in my gym. They work very good. They have the All Star, the Rebel, the facility model, the home model. I would recommend the most for people that are looking to get their kid shots at home. Let's be real. If you want your kid to survive in this game nowadays, you have to have an ability to shoot. Being the tall, athletic guy just isn't enough anymore. So I suggest, and I will continue to suggest, you start this work early. If they're in third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, get them started, get them working on their shot. Dr. Dish, home, can't miss with that. It's a good way to start and a good place to start. Also, if you're looking for good AAU tournaments, rec leagues, all around good basketball experience, please go check us out at Hardwood Palace. Ask for Steve or Grant. They have tournaments every single weekend, pretty much. West Coast Takeover runs his tournaments out of there. They're a good friend of the show, good sponsor of the show. Please go check them out. They're very consistent. Schedules come out on Thursday. Steve and Grant really try to run a really good program there. So go check them out if you're an AU program looking to get your feet wet. They got different levels, from really strong top tier talent to kind of competitive rec, if you want to call it that. Go check them out and let them know About That Life sent you. Same with Dr. Dish. So with all that out the way, let me get you guys into it. Let me give you guys a quick intro to my guest. He is a hometown kid. Just for you guys, if you checked out the Jordan Ford episode, obviously I'm always trying to get Sacramento guys who grew up out here, who played out here, who understand the culture out here, I want their stories to be shared. Yeah, I'm biased. Go get over it. I'm gonna want their stories out, their journeys out. This young man is a very talented basketball player. I've seen footage, seen highlights.
Mediocre.
Don't be modest, man. You're better than I was. But no, good dude. Seems to have a good head on his shoulders. This is we planned on doing an episode before.
I really think it was last year.
Yeah,
last summer,
right.
You had hit me up and said you wanted me to come on, and we're talking. We was getting it down.
Yeah.
And something just fell.
I
through.
know,
We
man.
couldn't do it.
And life happens that way.
That's the
but,
basketball world, man. It's never
but,
ending.
but you're here now, so I appreciate it. But without further ado, let me introduce Christian Terrell. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What's up with y'all? Thank you for having me.
Nah, no problem, man. I appreciate you being here. So, like we talked about before the show, and most people know who have been listening and recurrently listening on the show, a lot of this is going to be talking about your journey. And, obviously we're going to talk about the basketball culture and community as it presently sits, your opinions on it. Of course, I want to hear from people who are, still in the heart of it playing. Oh, jeez.
Uh-oh. Power outage.
Technical difficulty. Sorry, y'all.
That's that California life.
Yeah.
Sometimes the lights just go out.
It's a damn curtain.
Curtain turned it off?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Little thick joint.
See, that's how you know these shows. My computer crashed. No, it definitely didn't.
See, look,
I forgot to tie the curtain.
We got everybody worried out here, man.
There you go.
Filmographer was worried. Host was worried. Guest was calm and collected, though. I live in the dark.
Okay, there we go. And we're not editing that out. That's going in the show.
I love it. Now I'm off the outtake.
No, but I want you to. Well, there's first things first. Like I always said, we talk about the same premise on the show. Get the information out there. Tell the people about yourself, your basketball journey. Your AAU team, your college career. Give a general rundown of who you are in your basketball journey.
I mean, just like you said, Christian Terrell, grew up in Sacramento, the Sacramento area, more so on the North Natomas side. But I played AAU basketball growing up for the Sacramento Yellow Jackets. And like you said, we did tournaments all the time out here at Hardwood. We travel all up and down the West Coast. A few times we hit the Midwest and the East. I've played for pretty much every shoe company's league in their circuit. From there, had a pretty decent college career, played at the D1 level, was blessed to do that and not have to pay for school.
Right.
And then, God blessed me again and gave me a shot to be a pro, and I took it and ran with it. And now the rest is history. Just getting paid to play the sport I love, and every day it's just a blessing to wake up and, not have to go into an office.
Yep. And just for those listening, what college is, because I know you played for two. Did you play for, just so they know?
So I did my first 3 years at UC Santa Barbara, and then I transferred right before COVID. Well, the year that COVID hit, I was in my redshirt year.
Oh, okay.
So then I was able to play during, like, the COVID
year.
year.
Yeah, the COVID year, get that extra year or whatever,
stuff.
Yeah.
No, that was that wasn't even my extra
year.
year.
That wasn't your extra year?
I could have went back for another one, but school really not my thing. And I was ready to be a pro, so I was ready.
And then you ended at Sac State, right?
Yep, ended at Sac State.
Okay, and then as far as professionally thus far, what have you done?
This far, I've played for the Stockton Kings G League team. I've done Summer League with the Kings and the Warriors.
Okay, nice.
And this past year, I just did about half a year in Finland.
Okay, and overall, I mean, obviously, you got a chance to play some great basketball. What, if you can, real quick, speak on like your overseas that experience for you. Playing in another country, being in that environment. How was that?
For me, it was exactly what I needed it to be.
Okay.
That was my first time out of the country for anything, for work, for pleasure. So it was really eye-opening to experience a different culture that's completely different from what I'm used to.
No doubt.
And
Finland's different than the U.S.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
And then just as the basketball aspect, I think it really helped me blossom into being a more controlled player because the rules out there are totally different. The style of play is different. And for me, I had no buzz around my name going out there. So I went to what most would consider like a smaller country to
Yeah,
go play in.
yeah, yeah.
Still the top league in that country and a respectable league.
Right.
And it really just, helped me grow as a player.
Nice.
And I did well enough to create a little bit of buzz out there in Europe. So hopefully just build on that momentum.
Yeah.
But it was perfect for what I needed to be. Like I said, I'd never played out of the States before.
Right.
I went straight from college to the G. So just getting to experience that was
The dynamic, like different culture, different people.
Yeah.
Just no doubt. And then obviously, being an import player is, it comes with a lot of perks and some fun, but you're required to do your job.
No, definitely. it was kind of a win-win situation for me.
Yeah.
The team I went to was in last place when I joined them.
Okay.
So I got to just go in there, be the man, play freely. They, saw my film and like, hey, you're exactly what we need. We just need you to come out here and be you.
All right.
So I didn't have to conform to a role that was given to me
Right.
that might not have fit my game, which is what I had to do in the G. Like my first year, I was playing the 4.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm 6'4",
you're not
6'5", baby,
you're
on a
not
good day.
you're not a
So,
4. Yeah.
And then from there, it just kept getting different roles.
Okay.
So it felt great just to be out there and just to play freely and play my game and not have to look over my shoulder.
And that's the cool part with like overseas ball that and I talk about it. We've talked about it on the show in different episodes, but just mentioning it, I tell a lot of young guys like the cool part with overseas ball, it does give you a lot of room to always progress up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As opposed to like obviously in the U.S. it's kind of a one-stop shop. I mean, you really have the
politics.
NBA and
It's
like you said, the
politics-based.
100%. Like with overseas basketball, you always potentially have a market to keep going.
It's just hoop over there.
Exactly.
It's a business, but they don't put the business before hoop too much.
Yep.
Of course, end of the day, everybody has to make their own money.
Yeah.
Everybody got to get paid.
You got to get revenue.
Sponsors
Absolutely.
have to be happy.
Yeah.
Fans got to be happy.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's just hoop.
Yeah. No, I love it. That's why some people really thrive. You know what I mean? In those countries. Like
and why wouldn't you go out there and go experience something different on somebody else's dime?
Yep, 100%. I want to talk. I do want to talk on the AU side. Like you said, you play for the Yellow Jackets. That shout out to Mickey and those guys. That's a program we've mentioned plenty of times on this show.
I remember some of those heated battles against YBA. We used to go at it.
And then so you're not just we'll speak about your AAU experience too, but I want you to kind of speak now that you're on the outside looking in, because I always like you younger guys that are playing, now that you're kind of step back from it, you're outside looking at at the whole entity of AAU basketball, and there's a bunch of debate about it. There's some people that love it, there's some people that we talk about all of it on this show and on my social media. I talk about it, but people say, oh, well, it's a scam, or it's daddy ball, or no, it's great, or you need it to get to this level, you need it to, it's a whole bunch of discussion about it. What is your overall take now, being on the outside of it? What do you think of AAU, where it sits, pros, cons, any input you got to it?
I mean, I don't think it's a scam. I think it has got a lot more saturated since I've been playing. Because, I mean, when I was playing AAU, we would see YBA in Sacramento. We would see them in LA. We would see them in all the tournaments. So it was more like you had to be a really good player at a young age to be on an AAU team. Whereas now it's, I can just go join any team I want. If I don't like it at here, I can just go join a team or go make a team.
Yeah, make a team. Right.
And I think that's where people are seeing the daddy ball, because, I mean, obviously if my kid isn't happy, I want to put him in a situation to make him happy and chase his dreams and be able to experience things I've experienced. So I can see why parents are doing that. So I never want to take away from a kid's experience. I just think the AAU scene now has taken more of an adult approach.
Right.
Tournament directors are these insane fees.
Yeah.
Insane entry fees. Yeah. Or even now, I was just talking to Devon Jones, who used to run the Yellow Jackets when I was there. He said there was a tournament he went to where the entry fee, you had to buy the weekend pass.
Yeah, no, they're
Even if
they're
you
doing
only
that.
want to go watch
Yep,
one
one
you
game.
need to buy the whole weekend.
I know one of the circuits that was doing that was and they made a joke about it. They made a there's a new circuit. It was either Puma or New Balance, and yeah, because this is New Balance's first year, they
Yeah.
created a circuit, and their entry fee was $75 for the weekend fee, and somebody put under it. They said, y'all shoes ain't even worth the entry fee.
Literally, it
Yeah,
isn't.
like y'all shoes ain't even worth the entry fee y'all charging. I was laughing my ass off when I saw that. But
Yeah.
they were talking about, and they told people like even if you want to come for one day, it's like 75 or
Yeah.
$60.
So I think those are the problems where it's getting too political and too business minded. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just kids having fun, wanting to play with their friends, wanting to experience something different than maybe their team ball or
Yeah.
just what they've heard or seen on social media. So
Exactly.
I don't have any ill will or ill feelings towards the AAU life right now.
Okay. And then I know when you mentioned when you played AAU, you played on, you know, the highest levels, right? You know, the shoe circuits, things like that. Which shoe circuit were you playing EYBL
So
or was
I
it?
started, like I said, I played for when I was playing, it was only Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour.
Yes.
So I started with Adidas.
Okay.
We had a team which actually we were not sponsored.
Okay.
I had a team. It was me, Marquise Chris, Josh Jackson, Solomon Young, just a bunch
Yeah.
of these guys that
Yeah,
were
yeah.
going to be future pros. And we took this just small town team out of Dixon. That's where we were based. And we hit the AAU circuit, and we were just killing everybody.
There you go.
So an Adidas team took notice, Dream Vision out
Yeah.
of Vegas.
I know Dream Vision. Yeah.
And they said, hey, we'll bring your guys under our wing, and you guys can be a part of our team. But we want to split some of your guys up. So some of you guys are going to play 17, and some of you guys are going to play 16.
Okay.
I ended up playing 16s, and it wasn't bad. You're
Yeah,
still on the
yeah,
Adidas
yeah.
circuit. You're still in front of college coaches, but you're not that elite level.
Right. Okay.
And that's what I wanted to be.
Right.
at.
Of
So
course. Of course.
I've always make the best decisions for me. I seen that I probably really wasn't going to get to play that much on their 17s team, so I ended up going to Team Superstar in the Under Armour League
Okay.
with my friend and teammate Stevie Matthews.
Nice.
So we killed that circuit, had a great time, and then after that year, the Soldiers called me
Okay.
and said that they wanted me to join their team. So then I played in the EYBL for my junior year.
Nice.
And we made Peach Jam. I did very well in Peach Jam. I averaged a double-double.
Shit.
And from there, just having fun.
That experience of EYBL, like I talked to Jordan about it too when he was on the episode. What was your experience with that? I mean, obviously, like you said, you had a season you did well, but just the, really paint a picture because that's what I
it's
try
different.
to tell these kids. You know
It's
what
different.
I mean? Yeah.
They call it the league for a reason.
Okay.
Because if you play there, you're gonna be a pro.
Right.
If you perform well there, if you're an elite player in
Yeah.
the EYBL, you can write your ticket anywhere you want to play basketball. Like, it's no joke.
Okay. All right.
And I mean, we had everywhere we went, every session. That's what they call them when you go play in the tournaments. It's like 4 sessions per year, and then you
Yeah.
have Peach Jam.
Yeah.
Every session is sold out. Teams bringing in whoever they want. Fans in stadiums just filled up all the way up to the
Crazy.
nosebleed to come watch high school kids play.
Yeah.
So that, and then the talent level was ridiculous. I mean, like I said, it's
Colleges,
elite
plenty.
players.
I know,
Yeah.
probably like hundreds of college.
Oh, yeah.
I know
you're
back
playing
then for sure. Yeah.
Playing against Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox, I played against Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
I played against all of those guys. So just to be able to say that I played against those guys
Yeah.
too is an experience in its own.
And even then, like when you were young and you guys were all young and playing again, you played against them and you just you saw the ability level, and obviously you're there for a reason too. You ain't no slouch, but you see it and you're just like, man, were you kind of, in awe but anxious and really enjoyed that competitive atmosphere?
I wouldn't say I was in awe and like I'm not a guy who
Yeah,
gets
yeah, yeah.
nervous.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, like I said, it's just basketball, and I love to play basketball. So
Okay.
I think for me, I took it I don't know if it's too serious or too lightly. Really, I just wanted to play, so I was just happy to be there playing basketball.
That's a great outlook to have, honestly.
So I think I could have taken a little more serious in the aspect where, I'm playing Malik Monk tonight. Let me lock in a little extra because I know he's gonna bring 20 college coaches to come watch.
And you're like, if I can
if
go
I
at
can
him,
just, I don't have to have 50
Right.
and all this, but if I can just play well
Mm-hmm.
and hold my own against him, then those college coaches will notice. So I think if I took it more serious from like my future aspect,
Right.
seeing the future,
Yeah.
then I would have done a lot better.
Okay. And hindsight's 50-50. I mean, we all got things like we wish we could like, I could
Yeah, definitely.
tweak that. But no, but I mean that's a great experience. So then in your younger AAU experience,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm speaking like, oh well, when did you start? Let me not assume. Let me ask, like, when did you? Were you, you know, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade? When do you roughly
Man.
remember?
I think I actually remember the first day I joined the Yellow Jackets. We were out in the Folsom Sports Complex, and I want to say I was maybe fourth grade, fifth grade,
Okay.
probably fifth.
Okay.
And I mean, I was at a kid's birthday party. We were hooping. Devon had came over and seen me play.
Yeah.
You know, he looks like a basketball player. I was
Yeah.
probably the tallest kid there. And so they just gave me the invite. And then from day one, it was just a gel with the guys.
Nice.
They took me in. And even as little kids, that's
Yeah.
kind of rare.
Yeah.
For kids to immediately bond.
Yeah. No doubt.
And welcome a newbie.
Especially if you're the new grade kid, because it's then, you know, it's kind of that trial
it's been their
by
team,
fire. It's
their
like, man,
family,
who are you? Like,
their families are the one who started it, so I kind of expected that, but it wasn't that at all. So that was from a younger aspect. Now, me looking at it now,
Mm-hmm.
I can see how AAU was considered an elite level of playing because we were actually like very good.
Yeah.
Like, we were nice.
Right.
We were smart basketball players. We played hard. Had athletes, had high IQ point guards, had great bigs. So I think playing that AAU circuit from a young age is what gave me the confidence
Good.
to just continue to push through each wall that was in my way.
Okay. And I mean, like, obviously, in combination of playing and practicing and putting in work and all that, and again, in case parents and kids don't understand this, or if you guys think we're bullshitting you when we tell you this, like, every athlete puts in a certain amount of hours. You know, Gilbert said it on his, like, when he was talking about Iverson, and I don't know if it's his podcast, but I think he was a guest on someone's, but he said, like, Iverson practiced, you know, because it was this whole thing, like, Iverson never, like, he practiced. Every athlete clocks in a certain amount of hours. That's inescapable. You know what I mean? That's just generally understood.
Yeah.
It's just the nuances along the way, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, the team chemistry,
I'm
the
not saying
friendships.
you got to go put in
Yeah.
600 shots as a third grader.
Right, of
Like,
course,
you just
yeah.
go out there and roll the ball out, see what you can do. And then from there, maybe the next year as a fourth grader, you say, okay, I wasn't as good with my left hand as a third grader. Now,
Right.
when I go to my team's practice, I will work on my left hand. You don't have to have a trainer, a dietitian,
Right.
a lift coach, and all this other stuff as a middle school
Right.
kid. Like, hoop isn't that serious.
It's gotten a little
I think
insane.
that's another problem where the kids in social media are seeing, you know, all these guys working out with different players
Yeah.
and high school kids working out with NBA players. So they're like, oh, I got to start now. I got to put in,
Right.
10 hours today to just hoop.
Yeah. I tell the kids, you do have to put in work, but you don't have to forget being a kid.
Exactly.
You know what I
That's
mean?
That's where it comes in. That's where you learn really, and your creativity grows as a player. If you're just training and working out all the time, and you don't let your creative mind take over,
Yeah.
you're a robot. You're not going to get better. Actually, you're just going to plateau.
Exactly.
You need to have those everyday, those life experiences to help you on the court.
And build your basketball instincts. I will say that's one thing in my generation I think we benefited from.
Because you played at
We
the
played
park.
at parks. Yep. We played. I played outdoor a lot. Like
I remember going to the park, having to walk to my friend's
Right.
house, knock on his door, ask his dad, "Hey, can he come hoop today?"
Yeah, that was and I know nowadays it's kind of non-existent. Kids play at CalFit, 24-hour fitness, Lifetime Fitness. You got all these gyms. I mean, shit, I got a gym. Like and no knock on it, because again, I like we talked about before the show, I love the basketball renaissance we're living in. Because it seems like it's just more and more the sport's growing.
Oh, definitely. I think, like, in the Renaissance aspect, like that you're talking about, is kids are getting more, like, they're introduced to more now with the social media and all the games televised.
Yeah.
They could watch overseas basketball
Yeah.
even. So
Yeah.
I think that's helping their kind of skill, and I think like it's just gonna keep growing and
Yeah,
changing.
no, it will. But that's why I encourage the kids like I coach, and the kids I coach, I tell them, obviously come to practice. We practice 2 days a week, hour and a half, right? Three
Perfect.
3 hours out of your
Perfect.
life, and then I train too. So I tell the kids, you could. I say, let's put it like this. Let's say you train with me 3 days a week, an hour. That's 3 hours, and you come to practice. It's 6 hours you put in with me, right? Like, and this, like, let's say one of my fifth or sixth graders. I say, okay, I, I'm telling you, put in 1 extra hour a day, right? That's 10 hours in the week, right? That's enough that you will still see growth. You'll get better, but it won't kill you from the rest of your life. You
And
can
that
still
hour
go
could
be a kid.
That hour could be playing at recess,
Yep.
playing on the weekends,
Yep.
or doing whatever you want to do. That
Exactly.
is your sports emphasis.
And then I'm big on encouraging multi-sport athletes, right? Like I tell them, like, you have your primary and your secondary sport, no doubt about that. But I know we've kind of gotten to a point where I watched this one YouTuber. He did a great analysis and research on this. But currently we do have a lot more kids choosing basketball and only playing basketball year round. I'm actually against that. I'm not a proponent of that. There are some that's what they believe, and it's all subjective, right? Some people it's going to work for, some it's not. But what he presented was a really good case study, and he used the three goats, if whoever the goat debate, the three goats as an example. So he pulled up an interview of LeBron, and LeBron said, he really started playing basketball and taking basketball serious when he was like 12, 13 years old. But before that, he was a football kid. He played football his whole life. Kobe Bryant was the same deal. They pulled up an interview after he retired, one of his many interviews, and he said, he's like, I didn't really start playing until I was 12 years old, and he told the story about how he sucked. He was like, I played in the league, and I didn't score 1 point because I was trash, right? And then Michael Jordan, same deal. He said he didn't start till he was like 12 or 13. So there's kind of this correlation of like, these guys didn't start when they were 8 years old, 7 years old, whatever. They didn't do all the crazy drills and stuff that you see now. They played other sports. Kobe Bryant did soccer. Jordan did baseball.
Yep.
LeBron did football, right?
All those sports
Yeah.
help you in basketball.
Exactly.
Soccer, you get your footwork right. Football, get you playing through contact and get your speed up. Baseball, get your speed up, get your
The hand-eye coordination.
Your hand-eye coordination,
Right.
your mobility. 'Cause
Yeah.
you got to have hips to play baseball.
So that's something I'm a big proponent on. I tell a lot of my my hoopers, I'm like, okay, if you're like, I have this really good 7th grader, or he's 8th grader now. His name's Ken. This kid's really, really good, high potential. He plays volleyball because he's super skinny, so he's not going to play football, but he's doing volleyball. And his dad is great. I love his dad. He's really cool. One of the best AAU parents that you could ask for. And
That's tough to come
yeah,
by.
and
even in my day, it was tough to come by.
And he's like, he's like, Chris, he's doing volleyball right now. Is that cool? I was like, fuck yeah, like that's great.
Reaction
Like,
time.
exactly. He's gonna get
all of
hops. He's gonna get more bounce. He's gonna
Man.
come back more bouncy. Like, so I'm big on that. And I would definitely, if you're listening or checking the show out on YouTube, I definitely encourage you guys. Let your kid do multiple sports. Obviously, if basketball is still their main sport, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. They can still keep a ball in their hand once or twice a week, but let them do another sport. Parents. That was the next question I was going to ask you. When you played AAU, and obviously you're a kid at the time, so you don't really see how crazy necessarily parents could get. But now that you're an adult, I'm sure you can see in your from
as a kid, I saw
you
it.
saw it
Yeah,
as a kid.
As a kid, I saw it.
And so, like, what if you could talk to parents? If you could sit down as a pro athlete right now, former high-level EYBL AAU guy, a kid who went through the journey. If you could sit down and have some parents, a group of parents listening to you right now, what are some key advice or some things you would tell them?
I've actually had parents, like, groups and
Yeah.
sat around and talked to them, and I always tell them, the biggest ththing you got to do is listen to your kid.
Okay.
And if they say they don't want to do something, they really don't want to do it.
Okay.
And I get, you saying, oh, you haven't tried it yet. At least go do this and that. But they know what they want to do and what they don't want to do. So
Right.
you got to listen, one. And then two, I would always say just be there to support. You know,
Okay.
good or bad, support.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. Kids, they see everything.
Right.
So if my kid is, you know, a quarterback, you know, whatever, he throws an interception, the first thing he's going to do is look up at me.
Yeah.
If I'm,
Right.
man,
Right.
or he see me yelling,
Yeah.
now he sees that, it's not going to help his game. It's not going to help him get better. You got to just, you know, give your kids the energy to help them succeed.
And I key thing I try to tell parents too is be patient.
Yeah.
Right. We talk about this as hoopers and what the process. I'm like, you know, I tell parents that's a real thing. Like you do got to give it time, right? Like, and every kid has a different race. Some kids are gonna, you know, go right away. Some it's gonna be steady. You know what I mean? Steady and slow, and you just got to be patient. Obviously, height plays a factor. I mean, it's a tall man's sport. It is what it is. Height plays a factor, athleticism, speed, all that stuff. But there are plenty of stories and examples of guys, you know, with the odds against them, still figuring it out and thriving, right?
Best player in the world
Yeah.
right now, Steph Curry.
Yeah, right.
Undersized, a
Right.
major school.
Did not pass the
if it
look
was
test
that
when he,
at all.
you know what I mean?
Had a dad in the NBA.
Yeah.
Could have easily just been a nepotism baby.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
they said, nah.
made his own way.
Made his own way. Changed the game.
That's what I want a lot of the parents to understand. You know, I do agree with you saying listen to the kids. I definitely agree with that. The only way I give you a little pushback is sometimes you got to push the kids a little bit because kids nowadays, and again, I'm just telling you because I got young kids myself, they're a little fucking lazier. So you know, you gotta be like, come on, man, I don't want to go practice. Like, no, get your ass up.
Yeah.
You're going to practice.
I
But I know what you meant, though. I know what you
like
meant.
If you're already into something and
Yeah.
your kid told you you want to do that,
Yeah.
and then they change their mind,
Right.
Nah, you're gonna stand by this decision that you made,
Exactly.
and you're gonna go to practice.
Yeah, right. Because I just I think and that's that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, but I think about it now, like, you know, the argument right now is how overseas is becoming way and way more skilled and obviously caught up to the U.S. I mean,
Yeah.
but a lot of it comes from the conversation of how they teach the kids
I got to
overseas.
see that
Yeah, and that's what I'm
firsthand.
saying. Did you get a chance to
So,
see that?
The team that I was on, the club, that's what they call them.
Yeah, the club teams. Yeah.
They have kids in that club who
Wow.
will be in that club until they're adults.
Right.
So that means they're running the same offense we're running,
Mm-hmm.
the same drills, the same style, the same team culture.
Yep.
They will be pros at that by the time they're in high school.
Yeah.
So that way they don't have to worry about,
Their IQ.
their
or
IQ, they don't have to worry about somebody else coming up and taking their spot because it's just level based. You just
Yeah.
move on to the next level.
Right. And then obviously if you're advanced, they just bump you.
They'll bump you
or
one more
like
up,
if
and
you're a
then you-
Ricky Rubio or a Luka Doncic, or
You'll go play
You're
with
right.
the 17s if
Exactly.
you're 16. So that is, I think, the biggest factor that's helped a lot of overseas teams catch up to us is because they just pour so much into the youth.
Right.
Even if the kid decides he doesn't want to play anymore, they're fine with that.
Okay.
Or if the kid wants to leave, like you said, if a Luka Doncic grew up playing for Real Madrid all his life, right?
Yeah.
He could have easily said, "Oh, I don't want to go play in the NBA. I just want to stay here and play
And they're
with the
good
team
with
that
that,
showed
right?
love."
Yeah.
They would have been great with that.
Yeah.
But he said, "No, I want to go play in the NBA," and they said, "Hey, we're gonna get you there." So, like,
I mean, it's a win-win, right? And then, like you said, that's truly pouring into the youth, in
That's
my
what it
opinion,
is.
right? And how many days a week did they practice? Did you get a chance to see that?
I didn't, but our facility open every day,
Okay.
and every day. I swear kids in Finland didn't go to school.
Every
Every day it's kids in there hooping.
Wow.
Whether they just get in there. I saw a kid in there, he's probably just turned 13.
Yeah.
He's in there shooting. Just not even threes and hooking up. He's
Just
form
form
shooting.
That's
He'll
wild.
get in the corner, roll the ball to himself. Corner three. Knock
And
down
imagine
5.
that level of discipline. Like, our kids in the U.S. ain't
Kids
like
here
that.
is like, well, I'm not good. Let's just go do something else.
Right.
Or, this guy came and took my spot. All right, like,
See, and
I'm cool.
and that's one thing I'm trying to. with what I'm doing with my teams, specifically my teams. YBA, we got like 80 teams here, but so just so like you don't know, so my branch is the YBA Elite branch, right? I do the kids that want to do the travel balls, that want to be high-level varsity guys, that potentially want to be college guys and pros. I get those group of kids, you know what I mean? Because let's be real, the majority of kids, they just like basketball, and that's okay.
Game.
Yeah.
0.01% of the kids
exactly
is playing the NBA.
So I'm the coach that tries to foster those kids. You know what I mean? Now, will they go pro or will they? Who fucking knows? I don't know. But I do know that their mentality is, Coach, I want to play against the best. I want to compete against the best. I want to work my butt off, and I want to try. And that's it. It's like, okay, you want to try? Okay, you're in the right spot.
And that's another thing I think parents have to start doing is, if your kid is obviously if he's a young kid and says I want to be in the NBA, like, okay, yeah,
right.
maybe.
Right.
But if you have a kid who's on an elite AAU program, and you can see your kid might be able to do something with basketball, and if they say, hey, Mom, Dad, I want to go play in the NBA, your first response shouldn't be, well, you got to have a plan B.
Yeah. I agree.
I hate that.
I agree with you on that.
You got to support 100% your kids' dreams.
Especially if they're like, I would say by age 13, 14, because they're old enough to really understand what they're saying. And if they, like you said, I agree with you on that. If they say, because he's 10 now, but let's say 13 years old, and he says, hey, Dad, I think I really, really want to try to make it. I really want to try to go pro. Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
We're looking for trainers.
Yeah.
We're looking for the best
I'm
team
going to say
that
this
you
is the
can
roadmap, son.
Here's the blueprint we can follow.
And it's like, okay, are you ready to do this? You know what I mean? Because that would be the next question. Like, are you really ready to put in this level of work? Because
it's
that's
hard.
what it's going to take.
It is. But I think, like you said, they know that. They see at that age that it's going to be hard, but it's what they want.
Right.
So even if you support them 100% and they're giving their best and it doesn't work out, that's fine.
Okay.
All of that work is going to open so many more doors for them than you saying, oh, you need to have a plan B and allowing them to focus on something else.
Right.
Because then they're just going to lose interest in it.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. I mean, it's just I wanna try to bring some of that overseas culture with what I'm doing. Like in December, so I kind of take a brief break in September. Let my youth teams, everybody get back to school. I get my 7th and 8th grade guys back in December. They're those two classes of teams I have they're really talented kids, a really good group of kids, and the families are really cool. But I'm gonna try. We'll see how it works out. But my theory is I want to try to implement some of the overseas philosophies in terms of more emphasis on practice, less on games, right? And taking a little bit of Utah's playbook, because all those damn Utah teams are super fundamental, can shoot threes. I got a buddy of mine. He runs the Utah Gold. He played D1. His name's Dalton Nixon, and I've been talking to him and just kind of been picking his brain about, okay, what drills do you do? Like every time I play against y'all damn Utah teams, like you guys run 5 out. Kids are backdooring. I mean, you got 11-year-olds backdooring. You know how hard that is for me to get with some of these kids. So I'm trying to do a little hybrid of that. So my kids are going to practice 3 days a week. And obviously in AAU, that's unheard of. Usually it's 1 day, 2 days if you're lucky. Yeah. But the way the practice is going to be, it's going to be 1 day. It's going to be high-intensity workout, working on their bodies, right? Doing everything fast, aggressive. The second day will be a heavy emphasis on fundamentals, shooting and fundamentals. And then the third day will be game preparation, right? Working on plays, working on sets and things like that. I'm curious to see how that plays out.
That's a pro practice schedule.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it's good.
That's a pro practice schedule.
That's what I want to try to do and see. The biggest difficulty, if you want to call it that, is commitment from parents. Because I got to have a meeting with those parents and say, listen,
you got to drive your kids out.
You got to bring them here.
An extra day.
Yeah.
No.
I get it. Life happens. I say, listen, if there's 12 practices in the month, because that's really what I'm talking about, 12 practices in a month, I need them at least at 10.
At least.
You know what I mean? I need them at least at 10. Nine's pushing it to me, but at
And
least 10.
that's where that support and commitment from the parents comes in.
Yeah.
If you are serious about wanting your child to be good at the sport that they're playing, you will get them to those practices. That's my parents were like that.
Yeah.
They were alternating who's driving who to practice.
Yeah.
They're sitting at the team meetings. They're doing scoreboard. Not only for me, but they also wanted to be involved
Right.
in the life.
Yeah.
And now look at it. My mom, she's probably one of the most known non-basketball people in the basketball world.
That's
Nobody
good.
in Sacramento
Right.
goes around without knowing who my mom was in the world.
Because, like you said, she was ingrained
She
in
was
that culture.
there.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't, let me ask you this. So, do you still think AAU is an important component to make it, to the highest levels? In combination, it's kind of a two-part question too, because this is always kind of a debate as well. Is high school ball still important?
I think both are important, yes, but they go hand in hand in their importance. So, of course, it's important to play AAU ball so you can travel, get in front of different teams, different coaches. Because, I mean, let's be honest, coaches in the East aren't traveling.
They're not coming out.
They're not traveling out west 2-3 times a month to come watch you play. They might come once, So if you can get out there and go play in front of them, that's even better.
Yeah.
But if you're an elite AAU player and you go to your high school team and you don't perform, they're going to see that.
Yeah.
And then now that hurts your stock. So you have to perform at both levels.
Okay. Do you think, or what high school did you go to?
I went to Sacramento High
You went
School.
to Sac High? Okay. And do you think, let me try to phrase it. Well, let me quit.
I could dive into Sac High now. Because that's my.
Sac High and the culture there. I mean, they won
That's
sections
like
back
you
to
said, the culture,
back.
that's where I get my kind of play style and who I am as a player. That's where I got it from.
Shout out to Sac High, man.
I love it, man. Shout out to Sac High.
I don't like how they did my boy Matt Johnson, man. That's my guy, man. I love Matt, man.
Tough way to go.
But still, no knock on Sac High. And the high school season, I mean, high school just started this week, so, basketball season's coming up. So shout out to you kids out there, and best of luck to you this 2024-2025 season. But, no, the question I'm trying to articulate to you is, like you said, they both are needed. I agree with you. I don't think one's more important than the other. I think both just culturally have, what they need. I've been asked the question by parents, if my kid didn't play high school ball and only played AAU, could he still play college, or could he still make it? And yeah, exactly. No. I know the answer to that, but I think that what worries me is that speaks culturally to kind of, unfortunately, where I think parents' minds are shifting, where they're putting more emphasis on the non-scholastic ball than they are, and they're not valuing what that does and what that is. So I guess I wanted you to speak on kind of, your high school, career to a degree in terms of just the culture of it and learning, practicing 5 days a week and just going to class and just, that's a part of your makeup, right? Like, so, speak on that.
I think the biggest thing that I could say is college is more like high school than it is AAU. Mm-hmm. AAU is just rolling the balls out. Let's go see who's the best team.
Yep.
High school team, like you said, you're going to practice 5 days a week, sometimes 6. That's what we did. We did 6.
Yeah.
You're going to run plays. You're gonna hate it sometimes.
Yeah, people don't realize
you're
that.
not gonna see eye to eye with your coach.
Yep.
And you can't leave your high school to go play for another high school. So you can't play college ball without playing high school ball, because you need the structure and the foundation. In college, it's even worse.
Yes.
You're gonna run this play for 34 seconds and shoot the ball at the last second. If you have an open layup, great, we'll take that. An open 3, you better be one of the shooters who this coach said can shoot.
Right.
So it's the way that, like you said, the culture is brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Your college and high school coach are gonna talk way more than you and your AU coach. Now, of course, there's exceptions.
Of course, yeah.
When you have AU coaches who have been through the world and kind of have, different players in different places, they can, of course, put you in different aspects and in different doors.
There's always going to be exceptions to the rule.
Yes.
You know, if you're again, let's say you're a Ben Simmons, you're a 6'10" point guard, left-handed.
You can probably get away like he did. He was ineligible in college,
Yes.
didn't play, still a lottery pick.
Right. That's what it's like. Just how it works. There, of course, are those, but that's why I try to
But for
speak
your
to.
average hooper, you have to have structural hoops in order to make it in any level, because it just keeps getting worse. Honestly,
Right. No, I agree.
It's bad. It's not bad.
I know what you mean though.
It's not bad, but when you're a player and you're there doing it, it's bad. Like, you don't want to. We called it Vegas closeouts. Did it every day. Didn't matter the practice. Didn't matter if it was going to be light, a heavy practice, or what it was doing. Before or at the beginning of every practice for 15 minutes, just a defensive drill. No balls on the court. We're just running at our coaches, hands up, 2 slides, and that's it. And then the second part of the drill, 2 people, you're in a help spot, you swing the ball to your man, and then you close out to your man, and then you get back to the help spot, and then it's the next people. Like, you're going to do that every day. So let's say you have, like you say, you practice 6 times a week for, 6 months?
Yeah.
That's how many practices? Almost 300, something like that, maybe? Yeah. Like, you're going to get tired of it. But that's where your high school and that culture can come in and help you, because you've already been used to it. You've already been practicing for this long. You've already been doing the same amount of repetitive drills. And that's where you come talking about, like, trust the process. It is a process, and you have to trust it.
Well, and again, a lot of, and I put criticism on us as AAU coaches and directors, because I do think it comes down to kind of the culture and the coach and what's your morality, what you're willing to stand on when you have a group of, let's say, high-level 5th graders, right? High-level 6th graders, right? Because we're doing that nowadays, right? We're fucking ranking 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds, and this is number one first grader in the country. Like, what type of shit is that?
Got 30 cameras on his game watching him play, posting his highlights on YouTube.
There's coaches that are doing the roll the ball out shit, you know, that they're here, just be a stud, be more athletic than everybody, bigger than everybody. I don't. I'm just, so you get a little insight into me. I actually still stick with, I have a system. I run a college system defensively. I run a college system offensively. I do Vance Walburn's dribble drive, 4 out, 1 in, and then we incorporate 5 out. I do Gonzaga's 5 out. Kind of a hybrid of them and the Bucks. What they did when they won the championship, because you know, you had Brooke Lopez, big spot up shooter, center spot up shooter, and then when Gonzaga, they had Chet, so Chet was essentially like their point guard, and they ran through him. So, I do that, and I teach my kids IQ. I teach my bigs how to dribble. I teach my guards how to post up. Like, we do all that. But what I will say is, like, for some parents and stuff, when they first come to me or they try out, because people will look on the outside and they're like, "Oh, Chris's teams win. His YPA league team win." They don't know what it took to get there. And in the beginning, we lose. In the beginning, we get our ass kicked, you know, especially because I'm teaching the kids man-to-man defense. Or we run a pack line man-to-man defense. And when you're trying to teach a group of 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds how to run the pack line.
Well, imagine trying to teach, grown men how to run a pack line who have been doing their own thing for forever.
And so that's one thing I'm trying to tear away from AAU culture. I don't like the roll the ball out.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And I get it to a degree, because you do have to let the kids experiment. You do I've had to learn that tolerance to kind of let some of my guys experiment and because you can see the sparks of, okay, this kid needs this, right? But it's all about balance. That's why I say with everything, it's all about balance. If I let them do too much and just, let the leash go, now it's chaos, right? But if I'm too tight on the leash, right, then it's militant, right? Now they're not even,
and
like
it's
you
a trickle down. It's a trickle down effect. If you're too loose with one kid, now 3 other kids' parents and that those kids are upset at you and may leave.
Right.
And now you're down 3 kids.
Exactly.
Or now if you're too tight on the kid, him and his parents, they're not feeling it, so now they leave or they're upset as well. So like you said, I agree, it's a balance.
And the last thing before we move on to hot takes and stuff like that, I wanted you to speak on just your discipline. Like, you know, you obviously got to keep your body in shape. You got to, you know, eat right. You got to do those things. I'm enjoying my retirement because I don't have to worry about those things anymore. I still play in my little men's leagues and stuff, but I ain't got to worry about none of
That's
that
what I
shit no
can't
more.
wait for.
I love that I could just sit back and not worry about it now. But you know, I just wanted you to speak on that, like you know, the mental preparation, the workouts, the you know, how do you keep how are you keeping yourself motivated? How you keep yourself going?
For me personally, I had to hit rock bottom.
Okay.
I had to hit rock bottom of rock bottom
Okay.
to find my discipline.
All right.
I was in college. I was, like you said, a highly recruited high school kid.
Mhm.
I get to college and the year doesn't go as planned. My freshman year, we win 6 games total. Best player tears his ACL. We have one senior. It's kind of the load is on his back now.
Yeah, that's rough.
And it was kind of just, you know, for me, it was kind of like we're talking about a roll the ball out situation where it would just throw this freshman into the fire and we'll just see how he does.
Mm-hmm.
And then it took another coach coming in my sophomore year to tighten that leash on me.
Right.
And sit me on the bench. I wasn't playing, and I hated that.
Right.
Because I love to play. I'm a competitor, and the future and vision that I saw for myself wasn't this. So then my sophomore year, I went up to the coach and I said, hey, what do I have to do to be the head dude on this team? Like, I want to be top dog, dude you're going to for everything. He told me what I had to do. I did it, and one of our other better players ended up getting hurt, just kind of how the game goes. So I was able to step up into an even higher role.
Yeah.
And things were going great. I was on all the pictures. I was doing all the interviews, all the posters, on the little ticket stubs. I was on that.
Right.
And then that player comes back after injury, and it's like the reverse. He gets thrown right into the fire, not even like a warm-up, and now I'm back on the bench. So I had to really look at myself outside of basketball, because of basketball, my life was in shambles. I wasn't, you know, going to class as much. I wasn't hanging out with my friends as much. I would literally go to practice, come home, close the curtains, living in the dark, close the door.
You're angry, frustrated. Yeah.
Turn on the TV and just lay in bed for hours.
Yeah.
Some days not waking up to go to class. I mean, smoking a little weed in college, of course. You know, just going out partying. Going out partying when I probably should have been in the gym or could have just been chilling. So it really took me not getting what I wanted and saw for myself to be like, okay, what needs to change?
Okay.
And what do I need to do? Not what needs to happen. What can others do for me? What do I need to do to make myself into the player that I want to be? And that's when I turned to the Sac State, and they kind of helped me and told me, like, this is what you need to do and improve on, and this is how we will help you. So once I saw that I had another coach believing in me and wanting to see me succeed as well, that gave me a little more confidence in myself. So now when they're teaching me and trying to give me criticism, I'm not looking at it as, oh, this coach is just picking on me or he doesn't trust me or believe in what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I looked at it as they're trying to help me become the player that I want to play. So then after that, it was just like, okay, how can I keep this up by myself? How can you be, it's called a 24-hour pro. How can you be a professional for 24 hours out of the day?
I like that. It's a good term.
That was going to school. That was making sure I was on top of all my responsibilities at home. That was going some extra work, doing whatever I needed to do, going extra lift, doing a little extra rep. If your rep count is 10, do 11, do 12. So just finding my lane in what I wanted for myself and staying in that lane is what kind of keeps me disciplined and in focus. And sometimes I do step out of the line.
Well, of course, but you're human. That's called being human.
So just finding your reasons why and sticking to those reasons is what really can keep players disciplined.
All right, perfect. Great answer, sir. Let me go. So let's go into hot takes. So a lot of good basketball news that obviously we're going to talk about. The biggest thing we're for sure going to talk about is congratulations to the Team USA for the men's and women's, both coming home with the gold. Yeah, right, coming home with the gold. Obviously, there's not enough said of Steph Curry those last 2 games. What he did was just, it was great.
Mind.
It was great to watch. But and then of course the debates of like, who's MVP, who's should have got this, blah 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 blah. Look, man, I ain't getting it. I don't really care. It was just cool to see the best players play USA basketball, do their thing, go out there and kill it. For me, that was the funnest thing for me to see. For you, and obviously, again, like I said, you're a young man still playing and things like that. How did that feel for you? What was that like? Looking at seeing this.
It almost took me back to my early teenage years because that's when these players were starting to blossom. Of course, LeBron's always been LeBron. But, Steph, KD, Book was in college. Yeah. So getting to see all those players, and especially like the OGs and the greats come together and be, together for one purpose. Yeah. That was crazy to see because these guys are on their last legs of their career pretty much. Yep. So to see them kind of carry the torch but also pass it along in the same sentence or in the same sequence. Yeah. It was amazing to see. And I'm real excited for the future of the NBA.
Yeah, man. And it does look good. I mean, obviously LeBron, KD, Steph, yes, their era is coming to a close, right? We're still going to be previewed to, I think, a few more years. Might give it like 2, maybe 3.
He is for Bron?
What for Bron? Well,
for Bron is going to be 3. Because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
What's going to happen?
He's already playing with Bronny.
Yeah, of course.
So you seen what was his contract? He took the 2-year with the third for the player option, right?
Yeah.
That third year, who gets to come out and be a pro?
Bryce. Yeah.
So he's gonna play. He's gonna play with both sons for one season.
Right, that'll be wild.
And then he'll be done.
That'll be wild. And I tell people when Steph's career becomes like Ray Allen's, like when Ray Allen was on kind of his way out with the Miami Heat, when he's just kind of more a catch and shoot guy now. That's when I think we'll start seeing Steph on his way out. But we still got some time before I think that happens.
Around.
Yeah, he got a long time before that happens.
And
but
if you guys think it's crazy to watch him on TV, it's crazier to watch him in person.
That's what I was
and
gonna ask you.
And it's even crazier to play with him or against him.
That's what I was going to ask you, like, what's your stint with, like you said, the Warriors and the Kings and things like that, like, seeing him, being around him. I mean, like I said, I'm sure you practice with him. Like, just what's that experience like?
I can't even tell you. Like, as a fan of basketball, you're giddy. You see Steph in the gym, you're like, oh shit.
Like that's
Steph. You want to go over and touch him.
And he seems like and again, on a side note, he does really seem like a legit, really cool dude.
I don't know if you've seen the clip, came out here and did
with Marcus, shout out to Marcus, what he's, no, I did see that, and I thought that was so cool. And but he just really seems like one of the more genuine superstars, just being honest.
No one has more fun playing basketball than him. That's what I would say.
Good.
No one.
Well, like in practice, he just really be shooting like that. Like he just.
I'm talking about So we're in the summer league training camp. He pulls up, and I see him in the gym or on the training table. I'm thinking, he's not about to step out here with us. Like, he's just in here probably getting treatment, getting a little workout while he's in town.
He came.
Sure enough, he walks in with a practice jersey with the FIBA ball too. We're all about to go play with an NBA ball. He's like, I'm about to go play Olympics. Fuck y'all. Like, we about to play with this FIBA rock. And first 3 possessions, ball just in his hand, pop, 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 pop. Damn. Corner double team, double behind the back. Quick little small step back. Yeah. So, and you're not saying nothing. You're just sitting there watching like, hey, I'm open, but you're Steph Curry. I don't care. Like,
that's wild, man. Because, again, like, even when I played, I'm a shooter. I was but, man, like, he's a fucking shooter. Like, it's just
even we'll take it a step lower. Wiggins came and played with us, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously he's still a great player.
Yeah, no doubt.
But he's not on Steph's level. Wiggins is out there like it's easy work, just catching the ball mid post, 2 dribbles, jumping over you, putting the ball in the rim, just plop.
And I mean that kind of circles back to the second part of my question, which after speaking about the Olympics, but can you describe, because I just don't think kids and people from the outside really just understand the levels of play. Now, obviously, there's politics and fucking basketball and the business side of it, but taking that outside of it, there are just some of those guys who are just like extremely talented that I'm sure you've seen or played against or played with and whatnot. Can you speak to that and like what's that like? Like, you know, yeah, like if you're trying to just tell these kids, like, listen, you can put in all the work, but some people are just special. You know
You
what
can
I mean?
shoot 20,000 shots a day. You're never gonna shoot like him.
Yeah.
You're never gonna shoot like Steph Curry.
And it's just, you know, what has that journey felt like for you, or that experience been like for you?
Luckily, that was like something I was introduced to early. Is that you're never gonna be like one other player. You may have aspects of your game that resemble, but you're never gonna completely be that player.
Okay.
So I would say just like I said, finding your own niche and lane and sticking to it. That's what the NBA is.
Yeah.
Steph is a scorer, so he goes on his team to score.
Yeah.
Draymond rebounds, runs the point guard, and is a leader.
And choke some people sometimes.
He don't. Yeah, you feel me? Like, it's all about what can you do to help a team win.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Because at the end of the day, if you're not winning, no one cares.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because it's just you saying that got me thinking of Pat Bev and he talked about on his podcast. I saw a reel or a clip where he was saying, you know, he doesn't want to play his role anymore. He was like, no, knock on it. You know, I obviously made a career in the league doing that, but he's like, you know, I want to go back to where, you know, because he was the man overseas when he's like, you know, I want to go back to that.
Not many people know Pat averaged 30 in
high school. Yeah, and that's what's crazy to me. I have to tell the kids sometimes because they'll see role players in the NBA or even brothers like yourself, G League players, things like that, and they you know, they think like, oh, he sucks, or you know, then I'm like, go look up that fucking guy's resume.
Yeah.
Like, no, he
Yeah,
he doesn't suck. He just understand there's roles and there's levels and there's things you as a young kid can't comprehend right now.
I would say look at James Wiseman.
Yeah.
He was the second pick in the draft.
Right.
But he couldn't find his niche.
Yes.
And he just didn't fit with the Warriors team.
Yeah.
Then he spent a year in the G. That's kind of unheard of. You're a second pick in the NBA and you're playing in the G League for a year.
But that's why role is so important.
And that's where he found it. And he realized that I can't just, at least with the Warriors, I can't just run and jump. I need to be able to shoot a little bit. I need to be able to step out behind the three and run the offense for the team. Mm-hmm. So I think that now in his situation in Detroit, he can play a little back to the basket now. So it's a little better for him and easier for him to find a groove. And that's all it is. It's just being comfortable with what you're comfortable at.
Yeah. How much importance would you put on IQ when it comes to the game? If you had a hierarchy, you know what I mean?
Like we're talking about with levels, it depends on the level you're playing at.
Okay.
So obviously, if you're a pro, it's probably one of the top two things. Because if you can't think the game of basketball, you definitely can't play at the speed the NBA is at.
Right.
At college, you kind of have, you know, guidance, so you can get away with being a little more careless and I'd say frantic, playing a little more frantic because you might just be better than everybody.
Right. Right.
And then it just goes the further down it goes, kind of the less you gotta be worried
like high
about
school for sure.
But
right?
On the flip side, if you can be a high IQ guy in middle school, high school, it just does wonders. That's what helped me a lot. I wasn't the best shooter. I was just an athletic run and jump guy who could get out in the open court, run the offense at the point guard spot. But I knew what everybody on the court had to do. So in our playbook, I knew everybody's position and what their role was in a certain play.
Okay.
So I could get off the ball and go play the five, and you wouldn't have to go to your drawing board and draw it up for me. You could just be like, all right, Christian, you're at the five. We're running this play. All right, bet.
And you just knew it like.
So coaches would see them, but I like your IQ. I like this and that. And then you just got to keep building on that. Watch more basketball. Study that. Break down your own film. Watch yourself. What could you have done better? What could your teammates have done better? What could your coach have done better? You know, just being able to talk basketball with the more people you can see and the more you can talk about it, the higher your IQ will be.
How much did film help you?
Film helped me a lot in college.
Okay.
In high school, I really wasn't the best at watching film. I would watch it just so I could see
See, right.
what maybe
Yeah.
could I have done better.
Yeah.
Did I miss this shot because of that? Did I miss this play because of that? But in college, it really helped me find my niche, and that was being a defender, being able to knock down shots, and then playing open court. So I'm always guarding the player's best defender or best offensive player.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, I have to know what he's going to do in order to defend him. So I'm watching him the whole week leading up to the game.
Analyzing his scoring spots and things
how
like that.
How he likes to move. Does he like to go over his right shoulder more? What are his percentages at this swing? Does he drive left and spin right at all the time? And you'll find those nuances in players and be able to build your IQ off of film.
Nice.
On both ends of the court.
Yeah. Film's always been a great tool for me. I have my teams, even my youth teams, we watch film at least once or twice a month. Mm-hmm. So, because we'll do like a high-level tournament, and so I'll usually get 2 really good games out of it. And if it's on ball or TV, I'm like, hey, we're going to go upstairs, we're going to watch film, And that's, again, that's another thing I want to do on top of what I was talking about from next year. I'm going to have at least two film sessions per month. So we're going to have the 12 practices with 2 film sessions. And like I said, we'll see how it plays out. I want to bring up women's basketball because obviously, like I said, they won as well. And clearly with the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, that rookie class and all that's the attention that's brought. Me as a OG basketball purist, I like it. I love it. I love to see it. I hope it continues to thrive. Just curious on your outlook on it, from, just like I said, a professional who's kind of seeing that side of things evolve. What do you think?
I'm actually a bandwagon.
Okay.
So I really was kind of like, women's sports. I wasn't like, writing them off. But I was kind of just like, it's
nobody like a lot of people weren't watching. Let's keep
but
it
now
real.
I see these girls are nice.
Yeah.
They're only getting better.
Yes.
And I think as the game grows for them and becomes a global sport for them, it'll just take off from there, and you'll see it catch up to the men's like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it's, do I still think from a business standpoint the WNBA's got to fix some things? Absolutely. If they want to generate the type of revenue they really want, right? That's just being real. Like, I'm be on this show, and I'm very candid about that. I've had a former WNBA player sit here and talk to me about it, but it's like I say the same thing to them. If you want the business to thrive, you do have to make adjustments. That's just how business works.
Yeah.
Like if clear, I talked about, I said the NBA as an example. I said the NBA is not the same as it was in the 90s. Why do you think that is? Because they're trying to generate
trying new
revenue.
things, the in-season tournament,
Yeah.
different TV deals. They're testing things out and seeing how it is.
The rule changes, right? Like that's why scoring is
And
what
I know,
it is.
if you even think about how everybody says they should lower the women's hoop.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, all the women who are playing find it as disrespectful. But if you just take a step back and see the bigger picture of what it could do for not you, but your sport,
Yes.
I think it'd be amazing.
100%
Imagine you get
agree.
to go to a WNBA game and
Somebody's getting dunked on.
Yeah.
So the people will watch that, and that's I've died on that hill with some of my female hooper friends. You know what I mean? They're like, oh no, you just like that wouldn't. I was like, yes, it would. Like if you go to 9 feet.
How is it not disrespectful for them to play with a smaller ball?
Yeah.
But not a smaller hoop.
Exactly.
Like you guys are okay with that?
It's like it's just predicating the game to fit your needs, but also entertain the people watching it. So, that's obviously always going to be a point of contention, but I like where women's basketball is going. I think it's going in a great spot.
I think in 3 years, it'll be just as global as the men's, probably not as lucrative or like as entertaining as we're talking about.
Yeah.
But it'll definitely take off.
I want to go back to a little bit go back to AAU with you for a second. So in AAU news, right? There's a bunch of shoe circuits now. Like I kind of joked earlier. So you got New Balance, stepped in the game. Puma, they have their own circuit. You have basically the three the three forefathers, the pioneers, right? Adidas, Under Armour, and Nike. They basically all have two branches now because you
I've
have
heard of that. It's like the CYBL for Nike, right?
EYCL.
EYCL.
Yep, EYCL.
Is that is that for younger kids or is it for
No,
like the
it's
less
for
talented?
it's for high school. It's for the less talented.
Okay.
Basically, it's like it's if you wanted to give it, I say it like this: it's varsity and JV.
Okay.
That's essentially what it is now. You have varsity and JV. You have some kids who are in the like EYCL or like for me, I did Adidas Gold, right? They have the Adidas 3SSB, and they have Adidas Gold. They have UAA and UA Rise, right? They have a JV and a varsity bracket basically. Each one has its pros and cons, but the good part is it gives programs and kids that think they could compete with some of those EYBL teams or those UAA teams or those 3SSB teams. Oftentimes they'll play each other. They do cross and play each other. And I will say more times than not, those teams get their ass kicked, but it really shows them a perspective of like
The gap.
the gap in the level, right? Because like, so for instance, not this year, but last year, my team won the gold. We did this gold circuit and we won. So we got an invite to the 3SSB championship.
Okay.
Only, I think 7 teams got picked, and we were one of the 7. So we were in Rock Hill. And my team, good group, a group I have for a very long time, good kids, good basketball players, got their ass kicked. We went 0-4.
I open
0-4, 0-5. And 2 of the games, I would say we could have pulled it out. Just a few things didn't go our way, bad call, bad shot, whatever you want to call it. But we were competitive. I give my boys credit in that. They were competitive, but they saw the gap. You know what I mean? They really saw it, and you could see in the atmosphere. The atmosphere was great. Colleges all over the place. You know, the arena was amazing. You know, the atmosphere, all of it, really cool. I just didn't like being in the middle of nowhere, I guess, because I was in Rock Hill. But other than that, like, it really exposed the gap. And so what you're having now kind of is you do have a lot of teams trying to compete and get to those top spots through those quote-unquote JV spots. So it's making the AAU market pretty saturated, kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's just now it's more like JV teams.
I think that's where the business aspect comes in for the shoe companies. They realize that these parents have kids who probably can't play EYBL, but they could play EYCL, like you said. So why not bring in that revenue and that stream and maybe help some kids along the way? Like you said, maybe they find a gym or two and can bring him up to the EYBL and he becomes the next, Kobe Bryant or whatever. So it's never a bad thing to have. But like we're talking about, it's just maybe it's a little oversaturated.
And it's tough.
Pride.
You know, it's tough. Like, one thing I was going to ask you, in your opinion in AU. So one thing I bring up, we talk about, and I have talked about a lot in AU, is loyalty. Loyalty's kind of dead in AU now. You know what I mean? These kids, I mean, they're all over the place, man. I'm talking youth. I'm not even going to, like the high school side, I get it to a degree because you are trying to fight for something, right? There's a reason you had to go to an EYBL team because you're fighting for something, right? Like you're trying to get a spot at a college. Makes total sense. But I'm talking about like you have 4th grade kids that are playing for like 7 different teams. You know what I mean? And are this one coach who held the kid accountable this one time, said, hey, you're playing like crap or you're not listening, you're being insubordinate. So they sat him on the bench for 10 minutes, right? That mom is now kicked. We're leaving this fucking team. We're going over.
Working them off the checklist.
You know what I mean? And it's like it's like
that's just hurting It's hurting the competitive nature of AAU, but it's also hurting the kid's competitiveness because now he's gonna get into high school thinking, oh well, if I'm not playing on my high school team, I could just go to another high school.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
No,
CIF especially is not letting that fly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the rules have changed maybe a little bit now.
You could transfer, but you have a mandatory sit.
Like
you have to sit for 30-day
sit.
sit, and you're losing time. You're losing seasons basically. To say, oh, I want to play where I want to play, right? So I just wonder. I just curious your thoughts on it, like, because, you know, to me, loyalty is a big thing. I think you should be, if the coach, and this is where I always say to Kevin, if the coach is doing his job, his or her job, they're developing you. They're there at practice. They're there at the games. And keep in mind that person's sacrificing their time too, right?
Time with their family.
Yeah, right. They're investing in your kid just the same way. And the kid is progressing. That's also the key part because, again, it's development. I firmly believe, and I said this in the previous episode, but Jordan, 10th grade and below should be focused about development. Junior, senior year, even sophomore year, I guess you could say to a degree, depending on the kid. But sophomore, junior, senior year, yeah, it's about get exposure, show what you can do, get in front of the right people. But let's say at least for sure, definitively in my opinion, freshmen and below should be focused on development. If you have the coach that's developing your kid, coming to practices, investing the time, doing their job, the club is doing its job, what more do you want? You know what I mean? And it's still never enough sometimes, right? And I still just, it just bothers me. You know what I mean? I'm just curious, I guess, your thoughts on it.
I would say there definitely needs to be more loyalty and accountability. But for parents watching, like if there's something on the court that makes you uncomfortable, that's probably the best situation for your kid. They're going to grow, learn from that, use it for life, and become just a better player in general. If you want to just take it in the small world for just basketball.
Right.
If they can push through that adversity, they're going to be 10 times a better player than the kid who just decided to leave the team and give up.
Right.
So, I mean, I agree with you. I think for me, I would probably say a little bit more like middle school down. Needs to be just fundamentals, skill-based, getting people to learn to play the right way. And then once you get into high school, if you can make varsity as a freshman, say so, then you can start to, you know, pick and choose where you want to be at and where you want to put yourself out at it. I have
like an overall dream I would wish I could make happen in Sacramento. So, you know, and I'm sure some of the programs I'm about to mention you probably have heard because they've been around a long time, like Play Hard, Play Smart, the Pharaohs, the Sac Pharaohs, obviously us, Yellow Jackets, you know, just some of these staple programs have been here and doing this a long time. But the unique thing that kind of still bothers me is Sacramento does not have a shoe circuit team. As big as we are, as big of a market as we are, some of the players we obviously have and produced and seen thrive, we don't have an EYBL team. We don't have a 3SSB team. We don't have a UAA team, you know. Now we have PHPS went to New Balance. But, again, it's such a new shoe circuit. Nobody really knows
it's not
what,
serious,
you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And shout out to Dwayne because the Sacramento team actually won. Shout out to Dwayne and his success on that New Balance circuit because they won. But, you know, it's still so new. Like, I don't know if colleges were there. Don't know if those kids are getting recruited. I would imagine they are. But still,
if
obviously,
the league is sustainable, if they can keep it up for another 10, 20 years.
And then Puma, this was their second year, and I've heard kind of a mixed bag. I've heard some people say it was great. I've heard some people say it was terrible. Like, so you pick, right? I want for one season, a couple of seasons actually, if you have a class of kids that we see and we notice are like, man, this group is going to be really fucking good. This class. I wish we can get all these programs to come together, work together to go out there, beat the hell out of those top circuit teams because that's how you get the contract. Essentially. That's how you get, like, you got to beat a Soldiers.
That's
you got
how
to beat.
That's how that team in Dixon was discovered. We were a non-sponsored team. We did fundraisers. We had to pay our own fees and all that stuff. But we would go out to these, you know, like the tournaments that you can get different EYBL teams, an Adidas team, and Under Armour team, a team from wherever, and just play. And we were going out there and beating the shit out of them. Yeah. And then that got us the recognition.
And that's what I want because we have the resources to do it. Like, imagine if Pharaoh says, okay, yeah, we'll back. We got a couple really good studs. We'll financially cover them and back them. Okay, YBA, we got like 2 or 3 really good studs. We'll financially cover and back them. You know, PHPS, yeah, we'll do this. You know, imagine if, and then we have this team called Sacramento United. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. and we take these 10 kids and we just go. And, Les was saying to me, he said, well, yeah, part of the problem, Chris, is who's going to coach it, well, who's going to handle it? I said, well, yeah, that's where we have to sit down as fucking adults and have these conversations and have these tough conversations. But it's trying to get people to think of the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's what I always said. If I got into coaching, if I'd say I had kids and they wanted to be at AU, I would first see if there were teams that I think they could play on, or if they were good enough, or if my kids were just super talented out the wazoo.
Yeah.
Then we could sit down with the teams, like, well, what do you see and what can you do for my kid? But if I could start an AAU team, I would take, like you said, a class.
Yeah.
And that would be it. We wouldn't have an 8th grade team and a 5th grade team. We would have this one team. I would ask all the parents to just trust me, keep these kids together.
Yeah.
And watch them grow and develop together and see what could happen. And I think that's how that could be formed. Is you have, start at 5th graders. If you have them until they're 10th graders.
Yeah. Right.
Well, the sky's the limit for them.
Exactly. And then obviously assuming they all keep working hard, they all keep,
the more comfortable they get with you year after year, the better they'll get, the more they'll want to come in to work. They'll trust you. They'll probably ask you questions. They'll teach you something. So if I got into AU coaching, it would definitely be like I would just reclass. And when that class graduated, I'm going right back to the bottom, picking out some 3rd graders, and we're gonna restart the whole thing.
Redo it again. No, yeah, that's my goal, man. Because I would like to see. Obviously, I'm biased. I would love for it to be YBA, but if it wasn't, I don't care. I would still. My goal in the next few years is I would love to see a shoe circuit team in Sacramento. Now, there are nuances to that because this is the flip side of it. This is just the behind the door type stuff that people don't realize. And, some directors and higher ups get pissed that I talk about this type of shit on the show. But this is the reality of it. There's meetings and conversations that kind of prevent some of this stuff too. Because you think like for 3SB, for example, you have Team Lillard, Jalen Green Elite. And I think I'm missing one, but they're all in this area. Their argument now is, hey, don't make a 3SB team in SAC because now we can't pull those kids, right? Because now we can't get that kid because now he has a place that's only 10 minutes from his house, as opposed to, no, we want him to drive down here to Oakland and play for us, Compton Magic or whatever. They're like, no, you can't do that and that's the tough part, right? And what it's really going to take is it's going to take a kid that's really high level, or a few kids that are really high level that refuse to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like when Lillard's calling, when the Soldiers are calling, them saying no. Like, I want to stick. You could say YBA. I want to stick with YBA. Put YBA on that circuit. Yeah. If you really want me in your circuit, you really want, I'm one of the top high school kids in the country, and you want me on that Nike circuit. You want me in EYBL. You got to bring my team. You know what I mean? I think that's what it would take. The likelihood of that happening is slim to none. But I'm just saying, like, that's how extreme I think it is.
The starting catalyst will be a kid who just is phenomenal and just says, I'm good where I'm at.
Yeah, and I know it's tough. I know it's tough. I mean, that's the biggest hard part for me, and that's another question I had on my list was there's this big debate going on right now about, me and Marcus fucking debated all the time on our Instagram live shows or whatever, but about AAU basketball should be free, right? AAU should be free. We hear that term a lot. High level. Parents think if their kid is high level enough, he should be free, As a parent, even if my child was extremely high level, I do not think he's just entitled to be free because he's high level. I still would plan to pay if I signed him up for the Soldiers or whatever. Yeah. it would take the soldiers to come to me and say, hey, no, you don't got to pay us. Like, I would plan for that. But nowadays, but that's in high school. But I'm saying nowadays you have like 6th grade parents, 5th grade parents, 4th grade parents. They're like, oh, I shouldn't have to pay anything. My kid's good. Like, he's super good. He should be free.
I don't think it should be talent based, but I do think that it should be age based. Like, if you're going to watch the top high school players in the world, yeah, you should have to pay for that because you're about to go witness some great basketball.
Exactly.
Just like going to watch an NBA game. But yeah, no, these tournament directors charging $100 to go watch some 4th graders run around and score 30 points.
Yeah, and it's like when people say the argument of like, AAU basketball should be free. Marcus' biggest argument with me is, well, it's for the kids. It's for the kids. I said, well, Marcus, private schools cost money. Mm-hmm. You know that, right? Like, when you put your kid in private school, you're paying for it. School's for the kids, right? He's like, well, yeah, that's true. I said, yeah.
Public school ain't free.
Exactly. I said it's the state pays for public school. Yeah. Someone's always paying. Someone's paying. Someone's paying.
And someone is going to want that money back.
Yeah. It's like it might not be you, but someone's paying. And so I always say when people say this, like, AAU basketball should be free. It's for the kids. Chess basketball should be free. My question after that is always how? How can it be free? Because when the referees, they need a paycheck.
Some paycheck.
When the scorekeeping, they expect a paycheck. Mm-hmm. When the lights are on at Hardwood Palace, Smud expects to get their fucking check. Like, what? I'm like, explain to me, if we charge no one for all this that's going on, how does this maintain itself?
That's like life. Like, you're not gonna sit in your home saying, "Oh, I have kids." Like, Smud, can you keep my lights on for an extra month? So my kids can't see.
Smud's gonna go. I don't care.
I don't care.
I use the analogy. I say, so like when you go grocery shopping and you get to the cashier and they ring it up, do you go, I got kids, man, it should be free, or do you pay the fucking money and leave? So do I think things need to be overcharged? No. I just don't understand. I don't understand where people think everything should be free. I think you fundraise. I think you brainstorm. I think you can. There's so many different ways to figure out how to get money. You know what I mean?
Today, if you can't raise $5,000 in a couple months, something got to be wrong.
Yeah,
fundraise. You can just start a GoFundMe.
Yeah, there's GoFundMe.
I got some kids. We're trying to play basketball. They don't have the means to make it like that. Can you help us out?
Right.
You get 9,000 people to donate $1. That's $9,000.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what I always say.
A car wash, a fish fry,
something.
Black people love a fish fry. You can just post up in the hood.
Right.
Fry some fish, have some drinks, have a little, like a barbecue. Have a little picnic for people. Let them come. Sell plates.
There's so many ways to figure it out. And that's what I try to tell people. Now, nowadays a lot of coaches and directors are getting into running tournaments, because tournaments is a way to, fundraise between your snack bar, your entry fee and things like that. So I don't know, man. That's going to be obviously a topic of conversation. We'll probably fucking cut this and post this so people can have the debate too. But basketball can't be free, people. It can't be 100% free. It's just not possible.
Nothing is free in this world.
Yeah.
It never will be.
And especially in this country, a capitalist country.
Especially in this country and this state.
It's not going to happen, man. I'm trying to think of my list of questions, because I think I had like 3 more, then we're out of here.
We could rattle off, man. I'm not doing nothing. I got a free day tomorrow.
Lucky you.
Rock out.
Speaking more on AAU, or a couple last things in terms of just AAU. I, outside of, like I said, the shoe circuits and the things like that, it's nepotism. That was the thing. Obviously, that's become a big topic of conversation, because I saw a statistic not too long ago. It was from 2000 to 2014 or 11. Could be wrong. You guys can fact check me on this. But it said the juniors in the NBA were only about 1.2%. And
Now it's like 40. I
it's
think I seen
yeah,
that
it's
7-14.
yeah, it's the junior or in the NBA I think it's like 12% of the NBA is juniors, like Gary
Payton
Payton
Jr.,
Jr.
LeBron
or
James Jr.,
yeah, so
Kenyon
it's
Martin
so
Jr.,
all the
Scottie
it's
Pippen Jr.
so nepotism, and then even like the big conversation that happened when they picked the high school kids for the USA team. It was the Boozer twins, it was Carmelo Anthony's son, it was
Arenas' son.
yeah, it was and the big debate is, and this is a two-parter thing, is the nepotism that exists, and basketball is no longer the Trent baby sport. It's not coming out the trends. You seen that
the same
that
article or like the
conversations?
conversation
Yeah,
we're
a
talking
few
about.
people talk about this on their podcast. So
And I think that is coming from is that these kids have the means to go work out and go to a strength and conditioning coach and go be on already a crazy diet because their parents are on a diet because they have the means to afford that.
yeah,
So I don't think that it's a bad thing that the nepotism is happening.
no, I don't.
But
Either.
it's something that we need to be mindful of.
Yeah,
Because if I'm making, $250,000 every year, my kid can go train with whoever I want them to.
Yeah.
I could send him to New York for a month to go train with
Right.
Chris Brickley.
Right.
And he can come back. If he takes it serious enough and is serious about it himself, he can come back an NBA player that summer.
right.
So I think that's all it is just these kids having the means to be able to get in front of these different trainers, these different players even. Think of the players that Bronny has seen throughout his lifetime, just sitting around the game, being able to talk to them.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. It's not like their dad is in the front office, hey, my son needs to be this because I'm him. No, like they're actually good because they had the means to do it. Now, it just means that trench babies and everyday average people need to
have to work that much harder. Yeah.
And if you really love it and are serious about it, you're going to do it. You're not going to see this as a problem or a hurdle. It's just more adversity you already have to power over.
Yeah, because it's like, and that's the big outlook I have is, is basketball the Trent baby sport like it used to be? Not so much. But again, it's because of how the sport has evolved, what it's evolved into, and of course having the influx of overseas players that have really gravitated to the sport and could come into it. Because when I was in college, my center was from Lithuania. You know what I mean? Like it's
back then that was pretty much unheard of.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? He was my first experience of playing with a European center. Like he could shoot threes, amazing footwork. You know what I mean? Like
ball pass.
I never had seen that before. And he was 7'1". You know what I mean? It was like, what the hell? They brought me on to rebound because I was a rebounding wing guard because he kind of sucked at it, even though he was 7', he wasn't that great of a rebounder. So, but he was skilled in everything else. So they were like, Chris, you rebound
Just
well.
help him.
You know what I mean? So that's why we need you here. So that's what I'm saying. Like the nepotism doesn't bother me, and the sport itself not being like, oh, the kid from the hood, that the LeBron James stories, the Donovan Mitchell stories, the single mom figuring it out, like those stories are becoming less and less. That to me is not a bad thing. But like you said, do you have to be? Is basketball kind of evolving into the tennis social club atmosphere or the soccer club atmosphere?
I don't think it is. I think social media is making it like that. Like if you go look at all the social media posts, it's all of the nepotism babies who get the notoriety, who get the posts, the shout outs. And you just look at you'll see like Kyan Anthony sitting along his dad Carmelo at the Olympics.
Right.
How many kids were there with their dad at the Olympics? Like,
exactly. And then you think about it too. It's like you said, they might show that on social media, but you go to a Cal Fit, there's still a bunch of kids in there working out, training, hooping. You go to 24-hour fitness, it's still a bunch of kids out there training, hooping. The difference I would say between back then and now is they have those 24-hour fitnesses. They have those Cal Fits that now even the Cal Fit down the street has a Shoot 360 built into it.
Really?
So, yeah. Now, they built a fucking Shoot 360 in that Cal Fit. So now you can go on your court and hoop and play pickup. You can go lift weights, and you can get on a shooting machine and get a fucking 2,000 shots up. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
nice.
yeah, like that didn't exist for me
Not at all for
when
me
I was
either.
younger. You know what I mean? When you were younger, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's where I say is the big difference. Like, and of course, well, the question is, well, if you can't afford that stuff, what do you do? Okay, well, this is I thought about this question long, well, for a while before I wanted to answer it on this show. Okay, if you don't have the financial means to those things, what do you do? You can't afford a membership to 24 Hour Fitness. You can't afford the Shoot 360 membership. And to be quite honest with y'all, they are pretty affordable. But let's just say, because there are people really below that poverty line, and kids still want to do it. Okay, this is what I say to you. You have something called the internet. You can type in ball handling drills. You can type in shooting drills, and hundreds upon hundreds of videos will pop up. If you're in Sacramento, if you're in, and again, I know different people, different places listen to this show. So let's say you're in a rural area and you don't have, you're not in a major city, or where you have access to a bunch of AAU clubs or gyms or things like that. You don't necessarily need a court to work on every aspect of being good at basketball.
Walking to school. If you walk to school, dribble the basketball on
Yeah.
the way there. Just dribble.
Like that's my and of course there's more nuances, more details I can obviously get into. Maybe I'll do a quick I do a side show called Coach's Rise Time where I talk, strictly about little general stuff. Maybe I'll
Okay.
do a Coach's Rise Time talking about this in more detail, but there is a way, irregardless of your financial situation. And the truth be told, there's a lot of coaches out there, a lot of AU clubs. Like I know for me, for example, if a kid is dedicated, if a parent's dedicated, we'll figure it out. We'll find a way. Don't worry about costs. On every single one of my AU teams, I have 2 to 3, maybe 4 kids that financially their parents can't cover shit, and I'm lucky enough that this club makes enough revenue that we can scholarship kids, that we can help other kids. But like I had one kid on my team, his dad just got out of prison. He was locked up for I think like 4 to 6 years, and he's back in his son's life. Great dude, great, good dude. Don't make this misconception that just because someone's in prison they're a bad person. Shit happens, life happens.
Wrong decision at the bad, at that time,
Exactly.
that's all.
Just had to make that disclaimer. But good man. Yeah, I coach both his sons. I tell him, man, like, don't worry about anything financially because he's always bringing them to practice. He works out. Days they don't practice, he brings them here and they work at. He's working them out on his own. Like he's a very involved father. He's just trying to give his boys the best shot.
That's what it's about.
And I'm not charging this man nothing, and I won't charge him or his sons anything. Like because I understand the bigger picture, right? There are people out there like that all over this country, and I think sometimes people give AAU such a bad rap that they think the guys that are corrupt, the money scammers, the motherfuckers that do all this dirty shit, or once a kid gets injured, they don't care anymore. Once a kid doesn't pan out to what they think, they move on to the next one. There are those people, but I don't think they're the majority.
No, not at all.
So that's my soapbox moment, I guess.
I mean, that's amazing. Like, that's always kind of been my take on my knowledge of the game and just life. If I can help, a kid out here and there, just even for the time, I don't have to change his life. If I can change his mood,
Yeah.
change his insight, that's a win for me.
What would you say is your top 3 things that like I said, you're talking to youth. They're listening to you right now. What are the top 3 things they need in order to be a successful basketball player?
I'd say first you gotta have heart, and that's not just playing sport. You gotta have heart. Period. You gotta be able to get knocked down and stand up every time. Because the moment, especially in basketball, the moment you stay down, everybody sees that as food. Now you're just food to them. So
Yeah.
they're just going to tear you apart.
Right.
So you got to be able to get back up after getting knocked down. Got to be able to handle any and all adversity that comes your way. And I know it's tough. Like you said, the kids. How old are they?
The for the ones I
The
just
dad
told
that's
you
going
about,
to prison now.
one is 12, the other is 10.
Those are during the time that their father was in prison. Those are prime developmental
Yeah.
years for them.
Yeah.
They could have easily just been like, man, my dad's in prison, my mom's struggling or whatever. I gotta stop what I'm doing in my life to help them out.
Yeah.
But instead, they took that and was like, okay, I can make my situation better, and I can help my own situation by continuing to play basketball, by continuing to do the right things. And their parents saw that, and now their parents are supporting them.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's not even a second thought with him. He doesn't
Yeah.
give an excuse that he just got out of prison, or
No.
he did time that he can't be around,
No.
or he needs to get his life in order first. Like
He's a very active father.
he
Very good man.
realizes that his kids have potential to do something, and he wants to give them the best shot they can.
Yeah, and then the older one is really good. He's really good defensive player on top of that. The younger one, he's developing, but he's a big, strong kid, and I think he's got good upside too. But no, I don't know. I just I guess, if for when people listen or check the show out or whatever, I do want them to hear this part and really hear it that if your kid really wants this, it can happen, right?
It can happen.
And oh, I'm sorry. You said heart.
And
Did you
dealing
say
with adversity.
dealing with adversity, right? And did you say a third thing or no?
No.
What's your third thing?
In order to be a good basketball player, just the worth ethic.
Okay.
You don't have to work out for 3 hours every day. It's quality over quantity. If you can go put up 150 quality shots,
Yeah.
that's better than going to putting up 5,000 shots where you're just shooting it at the rim because you want to be in the gym.
Right.
So having the balance to see quality over quantity. Now, of course, there needs to be times where you're in the gym 3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Or you're working out for an hour. You'll go eat, maybe take a nap. You'll come back, do another hour. There needs to be moments like that. But heart, the way you deal with adversity, because you can deal with adversity in negative ways, of course, and the quality of your work.
Nice. When you were, deciding to go down this path, what kept you from, I guess, well, you talked briefly about kind of your darkest time, but what kept you from caving in? What kept you, from listening to the naysayers? Because I'm sure you had plenty of people that might be like, "Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that."
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did you push past that or keep going, keep yourself motivated to keep going?
I always tell people this when they ask me this question is, I don't know. I'm still doing it. So I think once I'm done playing and I take a step back to look at my career, then I'll figure out, like, it was maybe a decisive moment where the switch finally clicked for me.
Yeah.
But I'm still figuring out. There's still days where I'm down on myself and I don't want to talk to people, or I'll lock myself in my room. There's still days where I get up and I'm like, I don't want to work out today. And I'll go to my workout with a shitty attitude. And maybe I don't have the best workout and I don't care. I'll just go home and call it a day.
Right.
I'm still figuring it out. But I would say if I could think of any moment that's helped me start to realize what it was, it would be right before I transferred. I had called my parents and I had told them that I didn't even want to play basketball no more. I was just gonna be completely done.
Yeah.
My mom works for the state. I was like, hey, you
Give
can
me
put
a
me on
job.
with the
Yeah,
state?
yeah.
She's like, yeah, of course, but is this really what you want to do? And I was just like, yeah, like, I'm done with this. I'm tired of being recruited over. I'm tired of people not believing in me. I'm tired of people not giving me the due diligence that I feel like I've earned.
Mm-hmm.
So it really took them sitting me down and saying, you can still do this. It's not out of your reach. So
That's good.
just that, really.
No, that's great. Like, and I'm glad I really appreciate you opening up and sharing that, because I do think a lot of kids run into that, what you just said, the wall of, like, I'm done. Like, I'm done, and I feel like I'm not getting the validation. I'm putting in the work,
Mm-hmm.
like, especially like high school kids. I see it a lot at high school. You know, because most high school teams have, let's say, 15 kids, right? And you'll see number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You know, you could see it game after game. It pull at him, eat at him.
I've seen it. It
yeah.
happened. It happened at my high school. I've
Yeah.
had players who were. I'll even go. We'll go. Let's see. We'll go 8 through 11.
Mm-hmm.
At my high school team, 1 through 11 could have went D1. Easy. But I think only one of us went, or two of us went
Mm-hmm.
right out of high school to D1.
Yeah.
1 or 2 went to D2 first, and
Right.
then 1 went to JC,
Okay.
and then to D1.
Okay.
So the path was there,
Yeah.
but you could see it like you're talking about every day. Just kids who are getting beat up and don't see that it's not anything against you. It's
Yeah.
just the way the sport is.
Right.
It's a competitive sport. It's a personal sport. You're constantly this far from somebody.
Yeah.
So it's just natural. You're gonna butt heads and talk
Right.
shit. And it's how you deal with those moments that turns you into the player you want. And if you tuck tail, turn your head, and just start pouting, people see that, and real competitors will feed off your energy and
Yeah.
go pick on you even more
Right.
to not only boost their confidence, but to prove to everybody that they're who they say they are.
And they eliminate a threat.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, one less guy to worry about.
So
Right.
you got to be able to take those moments and flip them.
Yeah.
Okay, I got my ass beat today. I'm going to come back tomorrow, and I may get my ass beat, but it's not going to be like it was today.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as easy. You're going to have to work hard now for every bucket. I'm going to foul you. You're going to have to earn these points.
You got to pick yourself up and just keep going.
Got to
Right?
pick yourself up.
No, that's, yeah, I mean, it's kind of surreal when I see a lot of kids, even that I've coached, that I thought had enormous potential. Maybe not D1, but I think you could play D3. I think you go NAIA. I think you could play JUCO and work, change your body.
At any level, basketball can take you to amazing places.
Yeah.
There's JUCOs now, national JUCOs who go do overseas like games, and they'll travel the country to play.
I try to tell these kids, I said, it can't be D1 or bust. That mentality's got to go away.
Mm-hmm.
There's what's the statistic? I think it's 4,520 D1 scholarships or something like that. And
1%.
in the entire country, right?
Yeah,
like
1% get it.
And I'm like, you can't think I won't play unless I'm one of those 4,000. It's like, do you know the odds you're putting against yourself? Just stay the course. Like the analogy rings true to me. They say, the man that loves the journey will get further than the man that loves the destination. Just
one of my favorite quotes is T.S. Eliot.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I can't really remember it by verbatim.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you can travel and reach your destination and know who you are for the first time, you've won.
nice.
That means your journey has shaped you. You've learned from that. You've taken those life lessons and applied them. Anybody can learn something.
Yeah.
It takes a different kind of person to apply what they've learned.
Yep.
And I've stuck with me ever since I've seen that.
No,
and people clowned me for it in high school because the teacher who taught it to us was like a corny dude. But like
Some things stick with you,
I'm
man.
all for that like kind of corny like underdog type of stuff.
Yeah, man. That I want to talk to you about like your experience with coaches and things like that. Well, the first question I'll say is, do you think coaches? I mean, it's kind of an obvious yes, but I just kind of maybe you can elaborate or talk on it more. But did coaches in your path, or did you have one or two coaches that really stood out and that really impacted you and helped you progress on your path and your journey on who you are?
Yeah. First, I would say it was my dad. He was my very first coach.
Okay.
He kind of gave me the confidence and blueprint to be a basketball player and show me what it takes. And I mean, who doesn't like playing for their dad?
Right.
It
My
sucks when you're
oldest
doing
son
it
plays for me.
and they're always like the hardest on you.
Yeah.
But when you understand why, it's always the best feeling. And even when you do good, like one of my favorite basketball memories is playing in this rec league, and I think we're either in a game to go to the playoffs or we're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we're just little kids. I steal the ball, game winding down, make the game-winning layup.
Nice.
Dad picks me up and does a lap around the court, just cheering his head off. More excited than I am. That's one of my favorite basketball memories.
That's a great memory.
So there's him. And then the second, I would say, was my high school coach, Derek Swafford and Earl Allen, Ramon Burrell. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who showed me that I can be a professional, that I actually am a good basketball player. And they instilled their trust into me and gave me their confidence. And that, in turn, gave me my confidence, allowed me to be a leader, grow into bigger roles as a young kid. Like, I was playing high minutes as a freshman at a loaded Sac High team.
Yeah.
We had probably 7 seniors, all very, like, good
really
players.
Good players. Yeah.
And they just put it out there that, hey, if you want to do this, we can show you how. And obviously, Sac High's culture and tradition, especially with guards. Yeah. So that was probably one of the reasons why I went to that school as well. But just having that coach at a young age trust you with so much. Like, as a freshman, I'm trusted with running an offense. I'm trusted with being a leader and trying to tell essentially close to grown men what to do.
Trust me.
So they helped me become, like, the basketball player that I am today. And then another coach would be the coach that I transferred from at Santa Barbara. He helped me find out what it takes to be a winner and what it takes to be, like I said, a 24-hour pro.
Right.
So before that, I was just like, if I'm playing, getting my stats, don't really care if we win. But when he came, it was just like, nah, we're going to do, like I said, it's boom, 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 every day, nonstop. You're going to do what I say, and if you don't like it, you can leave.
Right.
And I didn't like it, and I left. But I took what he taught me, and I took it to Sac State.
Nice.
And I was trusting the process there. I didn't take his teachings or his philosophy and try to change Sac State. I just took what it meant to listen to a coach, what it meant to understand what he's telling you. That, he may not want you to be the top guy, but he wants you to get better, and he wants to see you succeed. So it really took Joe Pasternak, that's his name, Joe. Yeah. It really took playing for him and kind of sitting under him to see what it takes to be, like, a true winner. So those are probably my top 3.
Nice. And obviously the impact of a coach can make a significant difference on the trajectory of a kid. Are you so, like, for me, I believe, at least anyway, I'm a combination of a coach with old school principles, but my game system is adapted to the way the game's played today.
I think that's how it was at Sac High, and I think that's the way it needs to be. It needs to be gritty, grimy foundation, and we're going to play my style of basketball, but with your guys' flavor, with your guys' culture.
Because, I mean, like, again, if you want to make an example, like, kids are shooting 3-point shots. I mean, clearly they're going to shoot threes. Steph Curry effect. As a coach, you kind of have to accept it. Okay, kids are going to learn threes. However, instead of scrutinizing them and saying, why are you shooting threes? Fuck threes. What are you doing? Like, no.
Show them the right way.
Exactly. I say, okay, well, this is what we'll do. For every, I want you to attack and give me a 2-foot jump stop, right? If you can give me, 4 made jump stop layups in a game, when you go ahead and spot up in that corner, when we drive, we kick it to you, there's your moment for that 3, right? You try to find different ways to, entice these kids to want to learn. Because eventually when he does enough jump stops and they see they're scoring easily like that, they're going to be like, oh, well, screw this 3-point shot. I'm, getting 20 points doing this. I mean, like, that's the way as a coach, you're trying to kind of trick your kids into playing the right way. And that's where I say, but I still have very old school principles because, I'm known as a coach to light my kids up. I'll get in their shit. I don't disrespect them. That's the thing. I think some parents, from the outside looking in, some people just think like, oh, fuck, he's crazy. But he's yelling, he's cursing, he's fucking terrible. Kids. It's like,
It's worse. It gets worse when you
yeah.
leave me. It's gonna be worse. So you better get used to it.
And
now.
that's what I try to tell them. I say you do realize more college coaches and high school coaches are like me, more than these, I guess, coaches that you think are gonna fucking hug you and have a cuddle practice or whatever the fuck you think is about to happen. Like that. There's more coaches, and I'm just telling you, hey, grab the fucking ball, be strong.
Yeah.
They might tell you, stop being a bitch, go grab, like, I mean, they will cross the line maybe. Yeah. And it's like, and again, we understand as we're older and we're men that that's how we're going to communicate to a degree. But I always make it clear to the parents, I never disrespect your child, but I always challenge your child. Mm-hmm. I'm going to challenge your child.
Definitely.
And if they don't like the delivery, because it's not nice enough all the time, then you gotta make a choice. Yeah, maybe I'm not the coach for you. Maybe Definitely. I'm not the club for you. Right. So,
I think that comes from parents. Parents have to understand that, especially with young kids, coaches who do that, it comes from a place of love. Yes. They want to see your kid succeed. They want to help your kid. In college, you're gonna get motherfucked, and then the next year get recruited over.
Yeah.
And you'll be sitting the bench for the rest of your college career.
Or you'll be sent home now. They're like, hey, you might want to think of that transfer portal.
even that's tough. Why would I take a transfer portal if I could take an incoming freshman, give him some NIL, or take a what do they call a grad transfer or somebody like that? Like even the transfer portal, you got to be careful with now. Like I think last year they had like what thousands.
Oh, it's a crazy amount. I think even right now, like I think it's currently still like at least for sure in basketball, I think it's like 1,600.
Yeah, like
just sitting there, like and who knows
what
their outcome's going to be.
That's another battle you got to put yourself in. Instead of fighting it through. I went through it actually when I was in the transfer portal, and it definitely wasn't what it's like now.
Yeah,
it was way different. But even then, coaches were calling me, "Oh, you have 2 years left of school, but 1 year on the court."
Right.
We can't really give you a scholarship. We can't really afford to pay for that for you.
Yeah.
Like, sorry. Like I can bring in an incoming freshman who has 4 and 4, and I'm getting my money's worth, and I can build him up and trust him. Like you're just gonna be here for a year and be gone. So.
Yeah, and that's the business of basketball, right? That's the business of basketball. No, it's it is going to keep evolving. My last question was about the transfer portal, which because obviously that's you transfer. That's something you were able to kind of utilize or whatnot. But it's where do you see that evolving to? You know what I mean?
I see it getting worse, really, because of how we talked about earlier, the AAU, the daddy ball idea and ideology of it, is that these kids are going to be so used to just being able to up and leave and go somewhere else that they're going to do that in college. So it's just going to make it that much harder for them to get recruited out of the transfer portal. Because now, like you said, you got to deal with hundreds of thousands of players a year for 4,000 scholarships.
Worldwide.
If it's that. So let's just go worldwide. So you got to deal with millions of players now for, let's just call it even 5,000 scholarships.
Yeah.
Now if you get that scholarship and you want to transfer, in 5 years you could be having to battle another 20,000 in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm. And it's again, I wonder if the NCAA or people are going to try to, regulate it somehow, right? Mm-hmm. I obviously it's not going to happen anytime soon, but it is going to be interesting to see how it evolves between that, the NILs, the money, the nuances with all that. Basketball's evolving.
Look how it came now. So before the transfer portal, if you wanted to transfer, you had to forfeit a year of eligibility outright. There's nothing you could do about it.
Yep.
Now, you just transfer. It's good. I can play right away.
I know. Like I'm having Cam Niles on the show next, and he was at UC Davis and left UC Davis, and just did a JUCO year at Yuba, and Yuba did really well. They made it to like the Final Four and all that stuff.
I like Yuba's like philosophy and the way they
absolutely
give kids.
Coach Korn does a good job there with especially getting his kids places, and like that's one of the things I was going to talk to him on the show. I'm like, dude, you were at a D1, you're at UC Davis, you went in the portal, clearly didn't get, I guess, to some places you panned out, and some would look at it like as you dropped, you had to go to a JUCO and work your way back up. Now clearly it worked out. He ended up getting recruited by, I think it was Montana, something like that. But even he's going to be on the show Friday. But I wonder if more and more stories are going to happen like that. You know what I mean? Where guys go in the portal, might not work out, then they might have to go JUCO. Yeah. But then now it raises the standard of making it junior college.
Yeah, I think it has to deal with your reasons for entering the portal. If you're entering it because you just want to leave the situation you're in, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But if you're leaving because, let's say you you can go to a higher level, because if there's mid-major, of course, and there's high level like the ACC and all that, the Power 5 schools. If you know that you're going to be one of those players and you can get recruited by those schools, absolutely
do your
thing.
Like,
you have to. If you produce that year and you enter the transfer portal, most likely you're going to get some type of recruitment. But if you enter it just because you want to leave a situation that you're uncomfortable in, it's never going to work out. I left because of my personal happiness.
Yeah.
Like I said, that dark time, I knew I wasn't going to make it at Santa Barbara anymore if I kept going there.
Right.
If anything, I would have redshirted and then tried to transfer out to my redshirt year, but I'm at the top 2 party school in the nation, and now I don't. Now I don't got to go to practice and lift like that. I don't got to travel with the team to go to games. I don't have any real responsibility to basketball.
You would have been your own self-destruction.
I would have been out. I would have done nothing. I would have barely had my degree probably. Would have had no basketball, nothing to fall back on, no idea of who I am or what I want to do.
Yeah. So
even if it's personal reasons for why you want to leave the transfer portal, that's a positive and good reason.
Yeah, no.
But it has to be for the right reasons.
Well, credit to you for being self-aware to, realize these things.
Shout out to my circle. Like, really, they're the ones who kept me grounded and helped me realize that, I could still play and that I still did want to do this. And it took them forcing me to still go play. I was playing, but I was playing in a situation that I wasn't, good at, or that wasn't for me. Right. But when I was put in the situations where I could play more freely, I didn't have to worry about looking over my shoulder all the time. You saw my ease and the stress literally just leave my body.
Yeah.
I think I didn't smile like genuinely for like a year and a half. And then the minute I started playing again and was happy playing and happy with what I was doing, it helped my life completely. I had made more friends. I became a more social butterfly. Yeah. And now I'm just this goofy guy that everybody likes. Like now people, they don't even care that I play basketball. They just like that I'm a good vibe.
Yeah, and that's ultimately, but see, that's what you just said there. That's ultimately what I believe should be the outcome for all us athletes is, whether we're still in the midst of it like you are, or old and retired and yelling at kids like me, it's to be able to take these experiences, the good, the bad, and have an ability to keep moving forward, because a lot of people don't. And that's what I think separates athletes from everyone else. We somehow learn, especially the ones that actually keep going, playing college and whatnot. Yeah, we learn how to apply that to our life. Because trust me, there's days when COVID hit, we didn't know if we still have this place. You know what I mean?
It's tough to know about.
And we had to make a lot of adjustments and movements to make sure things worked out. But that's kind of like what I mean is you just, I think being an athlete helps us push through those nuances and things like that.
Man. COVID was crazy for me. Like I said, I didn't have the best college career. Freshman year, we won 6 games. Sophomore year, I was barely playing, but more like spot minutes here and there. Even though I was in when it mattered, I wasn't playing how I wanted to. And then my junior year, I didn't play at all.
No, okay.
So transferred. I'm redshirting, working out.
Yeah.
I'm at a lesser leveled school, so I think I could have a chance of actually killing and doing well, have high aspirations, and then COVID hits. So I'm just like, man, it's another hill I gotta climb.
Right.
But again, shout out to my circle, just having that confidence behind me and having that trust and belief behind me and support, I was like, man, I'm gonna just make the best of it. Like, I'm gonna just go to the elementary school. I'll shoot around for a little bit, or I'll sneak in a workout here and there. I'll do whatever I can, and it made me like the game even more now, because now I'm grateful that I could still play this, because COVID could have went completely sideways, and we could have been shut down for forever.
Right.
And so I'm thankful every day for it.
All right. Well, let me see. Well, first off, let me thank you again for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I know we've been talking and chatting a long time, but it's I always love talking basketball, as you can see.
I can talk basketball all day, man. I can talk life all day.
Did you have any shout outs or anybody you wanted to mention real quick?
Nothing crazy, man. Just shout out to all the basketball people in SAC. Mickey, Devon. Shout out to the SAC Yellow Jackets. Shout out to you and YBA for helping all these kids. 80 teams. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot to deal with. So shout out to you. Shout out to Johan out there putting this together for me, my boy. We've been rocking for some years. And then, of course, shout out to the family. Can't do it without them.
Yeah. No. Well, again, if you stayed and listened to the end, you are a real one. Obviously, I know a lot of people, they break the episodes up into segments.
You about that life.
You're definitely about that life. Again, if you feel like it, please hit the subscribe, hit the like button. Help me out with the algorithm. Help push this episode out on the YouTube side, on the audio side. Again, I'm seeing the Spotify numbers, the iTunes numbers, the Pandoras, all that stuff, man. Keep listening. I really, really, really appreciate it. I'll keep trying to bring really good guests for you guys that can tell you their stories and their journeys. Again, Chris, really, really appreciate you coming through, bro.
Thank you. And y'all watching still, too. If you need any, advice or want some more in-detailed, conversations about something, I'm always available. Feel free to hit me up. I'll always respond.
And I will have links to his social media in the description, so you guys can click that, follow him, follow his journey, and feel free to reach out. Again, for those who are on their basketball journey, I wish you the best of luck.
Keep fighting.
Man, keep going. Don't give up. Keep pushing, and the good things will happen. With that, we are done, and I'm out.
Shout out.